Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tim Hart, branch manager of Van Dyke Mortgage right here in Fort Myers, Florida. Welcome to another episode of the Heartbeat Show podcast. With me, got a guys making waves here in Southwest Florida, Brendon Leslie of Uncovering Southwest Florida. Brendon, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. You came on my radar probably about a month ago. Some things started coming across my feed. Looked into you a little bit. You got a really interesting story. I want to get into that because there's a lot of current topics, right, that are surrounding kind of your move, I think, and want to get into that, and also what you're doing for the Southwest Florida community as far as reporting. So, Brendon, if you don't mind telling us, what you're doing currently, and then what you did before. I want to hear about the corporate media part. So. Currently, what do you have going on with your current reporting show?
So right now I'm just an independent journalist covering mainly Southwest Florida. Sometimes I dip into other parts of Florida depending on the reach and impact, especially with the environment stories. Those can go pretty much anywhere. And so I try to keep it threefold. One, environment; two, politics; and three, like to have a little fun. And that's where we do the pizza reviews around in Southwest Florida. I'm from Long Island, so I grew up on Long Island, spent my first 19 years of life there. So I know what good pizza tastes like. And believe it or not, we do have really good pizza spots down here. So I kind of want to crush that myth out that we can't have good pizza outside of New York. Obviously, it'll never be up to the New York standards, but there's some great places down here, and I'm all about supporting the small businesses. So I always, and I'm not going to ever be like really mean about reviews. I always try to find positive. I always want to promote the business. That's what I'm trying to do, is help our community as much as we can. And then, so like I said, with politics and environment, I'm just really trying to be the most real news that we can have here in Southwest Florida on that. As far as what I used to do.
Yeah, let's hear that, man. I want to pause real quick because you're going to go into, by the way, politics and environment. You can't get much more hot button issues in Florida than that, But that corporate, this is where I'm really interested in it, because you bounce from corporate media into what you're doing now. So let's get into that, if you don't mind, with how long were you in corporate media, and then kind of give us that journey there, if you don't mind.
So I graduated back in 2016. I was in corporate media for 3 years. I recently came to Wink News here in Fort Myers. I worked there for about a year, and then it just got to the point where I couldn't handle what the media is anymore. It's just not for me. And one day it just came to a boiling point. And I told my boss, I said, listen, I can't do this anymore. It's not good for me mentally, physically, or any way you can put it. And he completely understood. And then that's when I decided to just part ways and start a new chapter.
So I want to get into that, though. So and by the way, if we go too far, man, just tell me, hey, shut up, Tim. I don't want to talk about that. Which I don't think you're that way, but if we do, let me know. Why you said you didn't like what was happening in the media? So like, I want to know, like, what were you seeing that just rubbed you the wrong way, or that you didn't like anymore?
The biggest thing, which happens all across local media, is they want the controversy. That's what they believe sells the advertisements, gets the ratings, gets the people to tune in. But here in Southwest Florida, we're a very strong Republican hold here, and things run well here under our leadership for the most part. There's some bad apples, of course. But with that being said, to find a controversy with an area that is so one way is very misleading. So I did county politics. I covered the Lee County Commissioners almost every week. And for me to get the controversy and put that at the forefront, it was the same 20 liberal hating Republicans group of people every single week. And I didn't feel that was right to be putting the loud minority, is what I call them, at the forefront. And that's something I don't do as an independent journalist.
Oh, so like the whole "it bleeds, it leads" narrative, kind of like something to that effect, right? Like they just want controversy and pitting one versus the other, correct?
That's news nowadays. Yep.
Yeah, fake news. What did you say? Fake news?
I'm going to say that was misleading news.
Misleading news.
Fake news is more in the national level. Down here in the local level, it's more about misinformation, misleading, clickbait.
Yeah, okay, so there is a difference between national and local when it comes to that.
Without a doubt.
Okay, so let's get into the national part of it. Do you have any experience with that? Can you speak on that?
Just from knowing people. And obviously, it's my career. I follow it, I study it. I have 2 degrees that would put me up in the national news one day if I kept following the orthodox way of life in my career field, if you will. With the national news, it's not news. It's all opinion-based shows, whether it's, you know, the far-leaning right of Fox or the far-leaning left of CNN. There's more of far-leaning left bias, but it's all bias. They're not necessarily reporting. They're just kind of commentating. And then when that happens, you can pretty much just say whatever you want. You're a talk show host. And a lot of times they get a lot of facts wrong. And those facts drive a lot of division in this country. And that's why President Trump is so gun-ho on fake news, and rightfully so.
Yeah. It's unreal, like what you see out there on the, especially on the national, but even local, you know, with you know, I'll throw the news press under the bus for my own personal use, just reading them online, you know, the headlines and the stories and the nonstop fear that these people put out. It's, you know, I just tune it out, man. No one pays attention to them. And do you think that more and more people are well aware of the game that the media plays?
I think here, yes, we live in one of the best places in the country, without a doubt. I'll say that until the day I die, because we have such level-headed thinking people. It just so happens that most of us are Republicans here, but
what it's about 60-40, right? Or maybe higher.
Maybe a little bit higher, yeah.
Okay.
That sounds close. So with the news press, I'll give you a nice example. They know exactly who I am. I am up their butts all the time because they are just terrible with the misleading, and they want you to click on their stuff so that they get more revenue, more foot traffic. So what they did recently, right before Lee County was deciding to reopen the parks, they put out a headline that said, Florida Department of Health reports 4 new deaths in Lee County, setting the single-day record for deadliest day in Lee County. Well, when you really looked into it, so pretend that came out on a Thursday. That headline makes you believe 4 people died yesterday on Wednesday. Well, when you really actually peel back the onion, those 4 deaths were all backlog deaths from previous weeks. None of them happened the previous day. They happened 2 weeks prior, the earliest. So now you got that fear. And then, of course, it's going right into when the Lee County commissioners are talking about reopening the parks. So now you got people, you know, all scared that the deaths are not toning down here. So why would they want to support opening anything back up? It's just, that's classic misleading. They weren't necessarily wrong, but they were completely misleading.
100%. Yeah, exactly right. Like they didn't lie, but they just didn't. They left out a lot of the story.
Words matter, especially as journalists. And whenever I get into any type of tit or tat with anyone, they just say things that are it's very misleading. One word can change the entire subject of an argument or a sentence, and it could be the difference between blowing something out of proportion or being completely realistic.
Yeah. You know, I'm always curious on like how are you, we talk about bias, right? Like you mentioned, you know, left wing, right wing bias, and like everyone has correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume everyone has a natural bias, right? Like it's like, how do you hide as a journalist? How do you hide your bias?
It's very easy. It's not as hard as people think.
It's not.
If you go look at some of my old stuff with Wink, I try to always be 50-50, give 50 amount of time to one subject, 50 amount of time to the other subject. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the other subject doesn't want to play ball, and you know what? Then that sets them up for failure. And I am a big believer in always giving everyone a voice. I will give anyone a voice. If they have concrete stuff that needs to be put out there, I'm going to give you that chance. But I'm also, if I don't agree with it, I'm definitely going to go look into the other side, and vice versa.
Gotcha. Okay. So now I did want to go back to one thing you mentioned. I missed the opportunity. You said something happened that was like the boiling point that like tipped you over, and you just told your boss, "Hey, I'm out." What was that? What happened?
Um, it, what I can say is Wink wasn't doing anything wrong per se. What it was I just had too many disagreements with the bosses. There was too many cooks in the kitchen, and I disagreed with almost every single one of them on a daily basis, where it got to the point where it just wasn't a healthy working relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, when it comes to Wink, I actually think they're the best in our market. And I say that not because I work there as a bias. I say that because I truly believe that they were the best. I mean, I saw the people behind the scenes, and I also know a lot of the people behind the scenes with Fox, NBC, and News Press. I just, when it comes to like left-leaning bias or stuff like that, Wink tends to stay out of that for the most part. It was just the always giving the small minority the voices and always going for the controversy or making things sexier that just didn't sit well with me, and it wasn't a good fit for me.
I got you. So in Southwest Florida here, you mentioned you're going to be specializing in, or that you concentrate on politics, environment, and then some fun stuff as well. What do you think, as a journalist, independent, which by the way, dude, I want to give you props. Like massive amount of guts to be able to, I don't think people understand one thing, how it is just to open your own business, which is essentially what you're doing, like to quit your job and to go do something on your own, especially in what you're doing. Credit to you, man, for stepping out there and doing your thing on your own, away from the corporate style, so you can be free and talk about whatever you want. So good job. I want to make sure I give you a shout out on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not easy, people. It's not easy. But what are probably the most pressing issues here in Southwest Florida that you see? Like, what do you think you need to concentrate on the most? Like, what do you see immediately?
Cutting down misinformation and propaganda around social media. I'm not gonna single anyone out in this particular interview, but there are stories, if you go look on my page, that will clearly label the specific issues of misinformation that are going around. But there's a lot of passionate people here in Southwest Florida, some of the greatest people I know. Besides them driving on the roadways, other than that, some great people here in Southwest. They care so much about their neighbor. They care so much about the environment. They care so much about just anything in general. When there's that much passion and that much emotion, when it goes into an issue, it's very easy to be taken advantage of. There's a lot of, I'll give you a prime example. When I was with Wink, I reported, it's a pretty known thing by now, John Heim. You're familiar with John Heim?
Well, the water guy, right?
Yeah. So there was this guy on Fort Myers Beach. He collected tens of thousands of dollars in donations, ended up spending it on not what he said it was. And this guy was a complete wacko, but for some reason he was able to collect over, tens of thousands of dollars in a matter of 3 months. And it was because people are so passionate that they're able to just cling on to the cheerleader of that organization, whether they're doing right or wrong, we don't know. So there's organizations out there that look to prey on the giving nature of our community, and they do that by just putting out that little tidbit on social media that just gets you riled up, like, oh my God, I need to get to this organization now, or I need to support this cause now. Meanwhile, they don't really know what they're actually getting into, and there's always an agenda behind those messages. That all made sense. I felt like I was rambling.
No, I completely understand. And so, what else besides? Is there anything else that's pressing that you see, like politically, economically? We're right here in the middle of COVID, so we're filming, right? Like, so today, Monday, barbershops are opened up. I'm getting my hair cut in an hour and a half.
Desperately.
I know. Can't. What's that?
I need one desperately. I can't wait.
Oh God. Well, I'm going bald anyways, but I still need the back cut. They're opening up, and so do you see anything else going on that you that you're seeing that you think is vitally important that we need to know about out there, or that you're working on?
is, well, the big thing I harp on all the time, and something news press does not help me by any means, and I don't know why people are listening to them, is Lee County is not Miami-Dade County. Lee County is not New York City. We're not Michigan. We're not New Orleans. When it comes to COVID-19, if we're following the hard data that we have, we're doing pretty well here. We're only seeing about anywhere from 10 to 30 cases a day. It's been on a downward trend. I'm always trying to say it's okay for us to start opening up here. It's not okay for maybe Miami-Dade County right now, but for Lee County, we're okay. This is needed. We just need to do it in a balanced approach. And remember, just because we are opening up doesn't mean you need to go outside. You can still stay at home if you're at risk. That is the beauty of being an American.
Amen, man. If you don't have to go to the restaurant. You know, comb your hair with, cut your hair with a Flowbee. You don't need to go get your haircut, right? Stay at home.
I think we learned throughout this pandemic, there's a lot of things we can live without, and there's a lot of things we don't need to necessarily do. But you know what? For the ones that need to go out there and make the living and are not at risk and are taking the proper precautions to make sure other people are not at risk, amen to them. They should be able to have that choice. That's the beauty of being American and having civil liberties. So
what do you think what do you think is going to happen? I want to get to the future of social media or your business as well. Like, back in the day, how old are you, Brendon?
Just turned 27.
27. Okay. So I'm 40. Oh my God, 42. I couldn't remember for a second. But back in the day, dude, you had your newspaper and you had 3 stations, and where I lived in North Cape, I grew up here. We didn't have cable. So we had literally 3 stations. And then you had your nightly news, right? So you had your nightly news, you had a newspaper, and we all know how much has changed since then. So I'm curious, where do you see, because it just seems like the nightly news viewers, I hate to say it like this, are either dying off or don't watch. Would you agree with that?
And it's because of social media. It's completely correct. We're eventually going to be all digital. You're already starting to see it with things called Sling TV, where you can get your cable channels on a digital app now and pick and choose which channels you want to watch.
Yeah, instead of being bundled.
Yep. Cable television is going to die out. Everything's shifting digitally. And the reason why people are not tuning in, and the reason why local media is so focused on getting that controversy, something to draw you in, is because they already know the news when they tune in. They see it on Twitter, they see it on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. We're in such a now society, and that is it. It's a pretty bad thing for news. Not only do you have a lot of misinformation being spread out there, things being reported when they shouldn't be because people are so hell-bent on being first, but you also have everyone knowing exactly what the news is. So not all of them are sitting down around the TV to watch the newscast anymore.
Yeah, and you say it, and it's just you feel like you're watching just something die. I really do, especially the nightly news. And what's that?
It's a depressing feeling watching the news nowadays because it's all so negative.
Oh yeah. We don't even turn it on in the house. I think the only time I really turn on the news, quite honestly, is during elections. The election coverage and stuff. I enjoy seeing all the numbers come in and whatever else. But that's once every 2 years. Yep. So where do you think? But where will these newscasters end up? How is it just going to continue to move towards just instant? You have your news source and that's kind of it, and we'll just never hear about the nightly scheduled news again.
We'll always have news channels. We'll always have NBC, Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, all of them. What will happen is my prediction. I'm not going to say I'm going to be right about this, but eventually what it's going to be is it's going to be all apps. You're not going to have your cable television. There'll be more on the website. There'll be more digitally on your phone, stuff like that. They won't have the stereotypical newscasts. Your nightly newscast will probably be a thing of the past. I don't think it might be a couple more decades before that happens, but that's where we're going.
Huh.
I mean,
what about
you see them all have their own little apps and how much emphasis they put on their apps. Right.
Well, if we want to know, we just go there instantly and just look whenever we feel like it as a consumer. I'd be curious to get your opinion. You see it more and more, especially during this COVID, is censorship from Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. And full disclosure, if anyone's watching this or listening to it, I know they're a private business. I know free speech doesn't exist on there. To me personally, watching it and consuming it, it's very telling what they ban and what they don't. And so I would just be curious, as a member of the media, what's your feelings on that with those? I mean, those are the major players in the social world.
For some reason, social media in general hates any conservative voice out there. Candace Owens is one of the first to come to my mind. Social media, what people don't realize is freedom of speech. Yeah, I can say whatever I want. Well, technically, whatever you put on Facebook, whatever you put on Twitter, they own. It's a private business, right. So they can choose. Is it morally correct? No, absolutely not. So I never knock Facebook for choosing what they want to get rid of. It's like I said, I don't agree with it, but it is their business, and we do sign away our rights when you sign up for your account. There was also that pandemic video that YouTube took down. See, something like that, I can understand. That can cause a lot of fear and a lot of, almost like a revolution style fear in the country. So something like that, I understand. But for some reason, they don't like the conservative voices. And you know what? It's because there's a bias against President Trump that's just very, very apparent on record nowadays. Everyone's so hell-bent on proving him wrong.
Yeah, but even with that pandemic, I shared it, and I'll admit it. I
didn't even end up watching it. I knew it was going to be such a huge controversy that I just stayed away.
Yeah, but so even with that thing, and I guess it's to my point, is like they're all after that to shut that down. But on the same side, how many experts and these people putting out this information and these numbers, 2 million people are supposed to die, right? Like those are the numbers from COVID. They don't get censored. Like they're putting out stuff that's not correct. And it's just odd that when you go against the big pharma, not to be a conspiracy guy here, but when you go against big pharma, big agriculture, big business, against the media or whatever, you tend to get beat down. Where if you go with the flow, you don't.
Oh, I know exactly what that's like. My voice on my page is I'm going against status quo with a lot of my reports, and a lot of things that people are attacking on, or not attacking, I should say, are going against what people are used to. And when people are used to something, even though it may not be right, it's a lot easier for those big companies to get away with it because people it's just the norm. You know what I mean? When you get something like that pandemic, a whistleblower of any sort, a lot of times people don't like to take the side of that because they're just comfortable in knowing what they think they know.
Yeah, any kind of whistleblower type stuff as well. You're right. Have you ever been, I'm curious, man, have you ever been told, hey, man, shut up, you can't talk about them? Or, or is that just all,
by people?
What's that?
By social media or just people in general?
No, people in general. Like, here, like, hey, probably maybe more when you're with corporate, like, hey, don't talk about them. We can't talk about that group. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on my page all the time, there's people that get really, really upset. I mean, just recently, how dare I went against the Golden Boys, Captains for Clean Water. They at the bottom line is they spread misinformation on Facebook, and it was very misleading propaganda style video. That's my professional field. That's where I'm an expert at. I know what they were trying to attempt with the little 30-second propaganda clip. So I called them out on it, and rightfully so. And so did other people. But when I did that, I was going against the norm. It was kind of like that whistleblower status. Like, how dare you go after these people who have such a good message? That's where I get some of the strongest hate from people, and them telling me, don't even try. They're untouchable. That's false. Everyone should be held accountable.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's happened a lot. I'm trying to remember if there was a time in corporate media, if I ever had it. I feel like there was, but nothing that like sticks out where I was like, what? So,
I got you. What's the plans, man, for uncovering Southwest Florida? What do you hope this turns into for you?
I honestly hope I turn into the conservative voice of Florida one day.
Okay.
I hope to go statewide eventually. I got to keep growing the audience. The audience is growing steadily, and and I get nice spikes every now and again. But I just got to stay consistent and keep my head to the ground and keep building for now. There's no telling where I could go.
I like it. So if people want to connect with you and they made it this far, listening to us, where can they connect with you at? You're obviously active on Facebook, right?
Yep. I have my Facebook page, and then there's my Twitters and Instagram are linked to that page as well. But the Facebook, this is a big Facebook market. This is where I'm really most active on. And then I have a website coming in the very near future, which will have all my social medias and YouTube linked to it. And then also all my stories up there to be easily accessible. But right now, all my videos and stories and pizza reviews are on my page.
Pizza reviews. Where's the one place we got to go for pizza that we don't know about?
Bella Mia, North Fort Myers.
Bella Mia, where's that at? North Fort Myers. I live in North Fort Myers. I don't even know where it's at.
Orange Grove, I believe. It's in a big
literally like right beside my house. I'm pathetic. Bella Mia's?
Bella Mia.
All right. I'm writing it down. I'm getting it.
That's the real hidden in the rough, needle in the haystack type place, and it's amazing.
Is that Orange Grove and Pondella Plaza right there?
Let me pull this up.
Oh, yeah. I'll put it in the post. I'll find it. I put you on the spot asking for the address like your Google.
Orange Grove Boulevard, and I have it right here. Yeah, Orange Grove and Pondella.
Yeah, it's in that old plaza, dude, where there's like that Nico Price has a MMA gym in that plaza. Did you know that?
Nope, I wouldn't even know. I didn't even look at the rest of the plaza because it was so run down that I just went straight to Bella Mia. It's right in the corner of the little plaza, right across the street from, I believe that's a school over there.
Yeah, that UFC fighter, Nico Price, has a gym, and I think it's called MMA Futures, right there. So, well, hey, Brendon, man, I enjoyed this. Anything else you want to get off your chest? Anything else you want to talk about?
You know what? For everyone that does go and check my page, there's going to be a lot of reports out there that I do that are hard to believe, that are hard to understand. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to go against status quo. Just know that I'm not doing this because I have a personal beef with anyone. I'm doing this because I'm passionate and I have nothing to lose. I'm not rich by any means. This is just me being me and making sure I give everyone a voice, and that's just what I'm about. So if you ever see something that maybe you disagree with in a report, there's no reason to just stop following me because of that. I've seen that happen, but then I've also seen people that are like, you know what, you put that out, but you also did this. Like, I could see you're very well, you try to be diverse, and that's always my goal, is just to be as diverse as possible and just tell real news as the best as I can.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Hope you keep it up and wish you the best of luck moving forward. You ever have anything else you want to talk about? Open invite, man. I'm always here for you. So again, Brendon, I hope everything works out. You guys watching, make sure you go like his Facebook page. Check him out on Twitter and Instagram as well. If I can ever help you guys out with any kind of mortgage questions here in Southwest Florida, let me know. Always here to help. You can reach me out 239-910-5668. And don't forget to share this video with any of your Southwest Florida news-loving friends so they can get turned on to Brendon as well. Brendon, appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too, bud. Thanks.